I mentioned earlier that user stories are a very effective way to break down complex requirements into smaller bits. They are very valuable for keeping our focus on what the user needs throughout our development process. For our case study, we're trying to connect job seekers to employers, and of course, we have to define who our users are. We have the job seekers, and then we have the employers, people looking for people to do menial jobs for them. Now, we have to break that down further. I mentioned that for user stories, you have a format. You say as the user, like as a job seeker or as an employer, I want to be able to do this, the feature that you're trying to basically build, and you basically state the reason for that feature. So as a job seeker, I want to be able to create a profile that includes my basic information and experience so that the employers can see my qualifications and experience. That's an example of a user story for our case study. Another one for the job seeker will be something like this. As a job seeker, I want to be able to search for available jobs based on my location so that I find jobs that fit my schedule and preferences. Another user story would be, as a job seeker, I want to be able to apply for a job directly without having to create a separate application every time I have to apply. That's another user story. And you can come up with as many user stories as possible when it comes to all the features that you need to build to make your product a success. Let's pivot a little bit to what an employer's user story would look like. An employer's user story will look something like this. As an employer, I want to be able to create a job posting that includes a job description so that job seekers can easily see the details of a job. So what this basically describes is an employer wants to be able to post a job so that people that are looking for this type of jobs can easily see it without the employer having to contact every person individually. Another user story for an employer would be, as an employer, I want to be able to search for job seekers based on their skills and availability so that I find the best candidate of job for the job. So this user story basically explains a feature that says, the employer should be able to search for people that maybe put cleaning on their profile or put waitressing on their profile or maybe put gardening on their profile so they can find the best candidate for their job. Another user story would be, as an employer, I want to be able to review applications through the platform so that the hiring process will be seamless and efficient. What this feature basically, what the user story is explaining a feature that says, once someone has applied, the employer should be able to review the applications of several people that have dropped their interest in that particular job. Another user story would be, as an employer, I want to be able to rate and see reviews of job seekers from other employers who they've worked with so that I can make informed decisions about a particular job seeker. So this is saying that, I want this feature should be about employers being able to see ratings that other people have given to job seekers or people that they've worked with before. And they would say, this person is a good fit for me or this person is not a good fit for me. So user stories basically describe the features you want to build from a user's perspective that, you're building for a particular type of user, or you're building for an employer and building for a job seeker. And I hope this really explains what user stories looks like and what it would mean for you when you're actually creating one. Now, I mentioned that user stories are what you add to your backlog. So once you've created the user story, you can then add them to your backlog and you can tell that, this is the user story I want to tackle next. Then I need to break it down further with your team and all of that. So user stories are very, very, very important to building a particular product successfully, at least in the agile environment. Now that you know how to write user stories, it's time to come up with yours for the product that you're trying to build. I'll see you in the next video.